In geography, the term development can be extremely hard to define, as it can be interpreted in many different ways. This can make it very difficult for us geographers to find ways in which we can accurately measure development.
A very simple and imprecise way that we widely use to compare development between countries is the method where all the countries in the world are divided into two economic groups, known as more economically developed countries and less economically developed countries.
Another inaccurate way to measure development is by GNP, Gross National Product. The GNP per capita is the total value of goods and services provided by a country in a given year, divided by the number of people living in that country.
These methods are both very unreliable as they only allow for comparisons between countries, but completely hide the differences between different regions, places, and groups of people within those countries.
A more accurate measure of development would be the Human Development Index. This ranks countries according to their quality of life. The HDI uses three different variables: life expectancy, as it is seen to be the best measure of a country's health and safety; education, as it uses the average number of years spent at school and the adult literacy rate; and income per capita, which is more adjusted to an average of the income each person receives.
Each variable of HDI is given a score ranging from 1.000, the best, to 0.000, the worst, and HDI is the overall average of these three scores.
For example, Ghana is an ideal example of a country where regional differences would not be recognised at all by the development indicators such as GNP. In Ghana, there are 10 different regions, all of which are developed on completely different scales.
For example, there is a particularly significant divide between the north and south in Ghana. Unreliable weather conditions in northern Ghana make it difficult to farm and produce food, meaning that there are fewer jobs available, which already immediately begins to inhibit development.
The transport industry in the south is much bigger than that of the north, and due to urbanisation, the south is far more developed, with better education and access to healthcare.
This is a prime example of how development varies within different regions of one country, and this is why it's best not to measure development completely on the average of a whole country put together.
Once these countries are categorised, it helps governments and organisations, and mainly MEDCs, to know where to target their aid. There are different types of aid that all have their advantages and disadvantages and have different aims to achieve different goals. Emergency aid is short-term aid given by both rich and poor countries to help somewhere that has been severely affected by human or natural disasters to deal with their immediate crisis. For example, after the Asian 2004 tsunami, or to help during the Syrian Civil War 2011, where civilians are found without shelter or access to safe drinking and water and food. There is also conditional or tied aid, when one country donates money or resources to another with the expectation that they will gain something in return.
Completely selfless aid is called charitable aid. This is funded by donations from the public through non-governmental organisations like Oxfam or WaterAid that either helps with an immediate crisis or funds projects to help with sustainable development. This follows on to long-term or development aid, which can be governmental or non-governmental, which aims to provide local communities with resources and skills to bring themselves out of poverty and ensure a sustainable livelihood with a good quality of life and standard of living. Finally, there is multilateral aid. This is a united group of countries, or the world as a whole, that provide aid rather than one specific country. This includes organisations like the World Bank.